On today's episode of Pathmonk Presents, I've got a very special guest with me here today. Please welcome Kristy Sadler, who is the SVP of Marketing at The 51. So for all of you who don't know, The 51 is a financial feminist platform where investors, entrepreneurs, and those who aspire to be come together for democratizing access to women-led capital for women-led businesses to build mutual wealth and social environment impact, share knowledge and experiences, and become influential investors, innovators, and consumers in both the financial feminist economy. Kristy, thank you so much for joining us today. It's an honor to have you here.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thanks for the invitation to join.
Yeah, absolutely. Super excited. So for all of our listeners out there, tell us what the 51 is all about and what you guys, do.
Yeah, and you talked about it a little bit in that intro. So it's really democratizing access to capital for both investors and founders that are females or gender diverse, really to change the game on equity in both investing and accessing capital as a founder. So it's both sides. It's an enormous community, and it's one that has grown from, just an idea in a kitchen a few years ago to a community of over 23,000 that exists both online and in person. It's really a movement that has gained quite a lot of traction over the last few years.
Yeah, that's exciting. And, to come up to 23,000 women altogether, that's awesome. So with your clients, so would you say that, they're from all different types of industries, or are you mainly focused within, in the investors in the financial aspect, or the financial industry, you could say?
Yeah, it's really interesting because the way that the 51 is structured, there's actually also a sister organization that's a not-for-profit that's based on education called Movement 51. But the 51 proper has a community of women and allied investors that have invested within a fund, and also a group of financial feminists that are it's a membership-based organization, and they come together both in person and online for various events. We also have an online community where there's communication with one another. So, we really have a bunch of different audiences coming to us for different reasons, right? And I can't leave out the founders either, right? So we've got on Movement 51 on our sister side, there is an accelerator, an incubator called the Founder Lab, where we walk founders through how they can, build out their companies and get access to capital, in addition to having a number of different companies, obviously, that we've invested in as part of our fund.
Wow, that's exciting. You guys have a lot coming down the pipeline, and it sounds like it's a lot of work has gone into it, but overall it's really exciting what you guys have planned, and with the 51 project as well. So what would you say is your top client acquisition channel? Are you, talking more like digital marketing, inbound, or is it a mix of a lot of things that you guys use?
It's a mix, and probably like most organization, it really depends on the audience. So the investors in our fund, that might be a little bit more of an outbound channel in events, right? So more high touch, high interaction. People want to feel comfortable with investing their money, and they also need an understanding of how that process happens for part of our audience is that's true for. And then in addition to that, we've got the financial feminist audience that I had mentioned earlier, that, a lot of the times they're going to find us online. They're going to interact with us on our social channels. They might attend some of the events that we're at as well. Recently, just last week, we were at Inventures, which is a big conference in Calgary, and we had a bunch of founders presenting, doing their pitches at an event that we call Her Story. So that was fantastic for community and really brought everybody together, and was also an in-person event, but there's lots of digital activity happening outside that's driving interest and increasing the number of subscriptions to both financial feminism and also people who have interest in investing in our fund.
Awesome. Really good. Thanks for sharing that with me.
Yeah, no problem.
we're going to shift gears now and we're going to talk about the website. So
Mhm.
what would you say are the major strengths of the 51 website? And then where are areas of room for improvement?
Yeah, and we've got, like everyone, we have a ton of things that we want to improve on our website, and we've got two halves to it. So there's Movement 51 and the 51. The movement is the not-for-profit that I mentioned, an educational side that it doesn't need a lot, and I think it's fairly clean and has a good path. On the 51 side, because it is serving multiple audiences, one of the things that we're always discussing is how we can make it relevant for our various audiences. So somebody who lands there who wants to know more about what happens when you invest with the 51 and what our membership levels are for investment, they need to have one path. And then also the people who are interested in financial feminism and getting into a community and increasing their financial acumen through connecting with other women and allied financial feminists, they would have a different path on the website. So I think that's, while the message is clear, sort of, right when you land there, I think we could do a much better job of helping people down whichever path it is that they want to go to. And we've tried to do it through navigation and through CTAs, but we definitely could optimize that experience better. And that's something that we're looking forward to doing moving forward.
All right, sweet. That's really exciting. So now we're going to change gears and we're going to talk about you as a leader. So I understand with being the SVP for marketing, you already have a lot of responsibilities, but what does an average day look like for you? Whether it's in the office, hybrid, or remote.
Yep, and I am fully remote with the 51, although I do end up going into the office maybe once a quarter. I'm based out of Toronto, Ontario, and the 51's office is actually in Calgary, Alberta. So we're about a 4-hour plane ride away. Okay. But we're used to being remote, right? So if you think of when the 51 was founded back in 2019, that's when all the planning was taking place. And when everything really started to get going, we were in a pandemic. So everybody was remote. So remote was how we operated until, maybe 6 months ago when we started going back into the office. We have teammates in Calgary who will go in, 1 or 2 times a week. But myself and I have a teammate in Saskatchewan as well. So we like to spread things out. It's actually a nationwide movement. So we're both mostly remote, but we really do like doing the quarterly planning together. And I think part of what is making it work is that we do stay connected quite frequently. We bookend meetings with a sprint kickoff and a wrap up at the end of the week. We do, sort of continual communication on Slack and, not so much via email, but we're happy to jump on a quick call. So we do get a fair amount of FaceTime together. Which is nice. It's really hard when we're still in growth mode, right? So you want to make sure that you are doing things quickly and efficiently and making good progress. And I think that continual connection throughout the week is really important to ensure that.
Yeah, it is. And I love how you and your team have been able to implement, what works best for you overall, For instance, as you were explaining, at the end of the week, we're going to have, our kickoffs or our sprints, our Zoom calls in order to be able to meet and making the effort and putting in a lot of that face-to-face. Because I feel a lot of companies now, either for ones who have gone remote or hybrid, they're still struggling trying to find the sweet spot of where, okay, half of my team is remote, half of it is hybrid. How do we navigate this where everyone is on the same page, everybody knows what's going on, and there's no disconnect? So I love that you have put such an emphasis on this to where you're still adding that human touch and the human element to working, since a lot of people now, as you say, they work from home, so they hardly get to interact with their coworkers, versus where it seems like you and your team have found the sweet spot, like that works for you altogether.
I mean, we've also leveraged tools a lot, right? Like we have project planning, we've got, like so Asana and Slack and, all the various ways that you can connect and manage projects and collaborate where you don't have to be face to face. So, although like, I'm not going to lie, I miss seeing people face to face sometimes too. So it's really nice when we get to meet each other in person.
Oh yeah, definitely not. I'm the same way. I miss having the face to face, but
Yeah,
I know that within this day and age where remote is what's going to happen, but it's nice seeing where, hybrid is still a thing where, I can be able to, people can go into the office for a day or two and the rest they could be from home, which it seems to work out better for them. So.
Yeah, it's also so much better for growing companies as well when you're small and you don't need to actually grab a physical space until you actually need to grab a physical space. And there's a lot of co-working spaces and stuff like that where you can, sort of get by until you get to the point where physical space is something that, is financially viable, which, obviously for the 51, it's been that way for a little while. But I like that, the remote environment forced us into rethinking how we work and how we go into the office with one another.
Yeah, absolutely. You said it perfectly. So we're getting close to the end of our interview now, and we're going to jump into some rapid fire questions. Are you ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
Perfect. All right. What is the last book that you read?
Oh gosh, I'm such a 3/4 reader. I read 3/4 the way through a book. I'm just trying to think. It's a Glennon Doyle book that I can see it sitting on my counter and I totally forgot. It's not even a business book, so it's not a great, no, I failed this rapid fire question. Next.
Oh, no, you're fine. We have a lot of people who have, told us of what books that they have read. They're not even business related half of the time. A lot of them is with their personal interests. So. All right. So
I just can't remember. I've got a bad memory. I can't remember the name of it.
You're good. No worries. Okay.
Good.
Here's the next one. If there was no boundaries in technology, what would be the one thing you would want to have fixed in your role today as a marketer?
Oh, the connection of all the systems. So there are so many systems that we use in marketing, and it is so janky to connect them all together. Like if it could not be Zapier that we use to connect everything, that would be fantastic. Just like an easy way to plug into the other systems so that they could all talk together. That would be nirvana.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like this is nearly every marketer's dream, because anytime, like the more systems you have, the more complicated it gets, because some will integrate into other systems where there are some systems that don't integrate at all. And it can end up making like double the work sometimes. So I get you completely. So now we're at the end of our interview today. And I want to thank you so much for making the time to join us on Pathmonk Presents. But I also want to give you the last word. If someone were to forget about everything that we talked about in this interview today, what is one thing you want them to remember about the 51 overall?
I would say for the 51, just that, we're building the world that we want to be in by democratizing access to capital for women and gender diverse investors and founders. And we're doing it as a community. So, whether you are somebody who is early in thinking about investing, or you don't feel like you've got strong financial acumen, or you are a seasoned investor and are interested in more in investing in early stage female founded companies, come join the community, see what we're all about. We've got something for everyone. And, we'd love to know more about you and welcome you into our community.
Sweet. Amazing. All right. All of our listeners, you heard it here. Check out the 51. And Kristy, thank you again so much. We'll see you all next week on Pathmonk.